All Things Motoring International is owned and brought to you by SA's most trusted online vehicle platform, CHANGECARS. Our name says it all. Whether you're looking to sell, need advice, need finance, or need insurance, CHANGECARS has you covered. We're back for Season 8 of All Things Motoring International. Mike heads to an unlikely motor haven, Klerksdorp, where he explores some car museums, exotic car dealerships, and more. This is a show full of South African surprises.
If there's one brand that is synonymous with all things that are good about vehicles, it is Toyota. Reliability, desirability, and longevity. Wherever you are in the world, that is what Toyota stands for. Talking about longevity, we're at an incredible facility today in the Northwest Province, the Nicore Motoring Museum. When we say museum, we're not even close. We've got over 90 of the most incredible standout Toyotas that you could wish to see, from the Toyota Corona to Corolla, MR2, Stout, you name it, it's here. We're going to bring you a little bit of everything. Buckies, 2 doors, 4 doors, sports cars. That is how incredible this facility is. When you say Toyota Supra, go back to the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, and current. But in the 1980s, there was one component that was before Supra, and that was Celica. How do you pronounce Celica? As you like. Some people say it with a strong pronunciation of the S. Some people say it with a strong pronunciation of the C. To hear more about this incredible name, over to the voice in the sky.
The Toyota Celica was produced by Toyota from 1970 until 2006. The Celica name derives from the Latin word Caelica, meaning heavenly or celestial. Produced across 7 generations, the Celica was powered by various 4-cylinder engines, and the body styling included convertibles, liftbacks, coupes, and notchback coupes. Interestingly, the Toyota Celica GT4 was created to compete in the World Rally Championship, whose regulations dictated that a manufacturer must build road-going versions of the vehicle in sufficient numbers. These vehicles are referred to as homologation special vehicles, and this simple rule has over the years led to some of the greatest cars ever produced.
BMW have M, Audi have RS, Mercedes have AMG, and in the 80s and 90s, Toyota had TRD. What does it stand for? If you know, thumbs up. If you don't know, that's what we're here for, Toyota Racing Developments. But the best way to learn about this incredible nomenclature is to talk to the people who love them, own them, and are incredibly passionate about them. When you're surrounded by over 90 incredible Toyotas, the question you ask yourself is, how do you choose your favorite? Yaku, for you, I think it's pretty easy. TRD?
That's exactly, yes. My father, he owned one, and that's where the love grew for these vehicles. And, you know, learning them over the time, the different ones there is.
So we shared earlier, TRD stands for Toyota Racing Development, but what is different about a TRD compared to the normal model?
So the big difference with TRD is it was the Toyota Racing Development that literally took the standard car and they made 300 of them. That's for homologation, for racing. The most important changes was the motor changes they've done, the branches, the head work that's done on it, and then obviously the side drafts to have better performance on the vehicle itself for the racing.
Yaku, you have an incredible facility here. To say it's been a privilege and a pleasure to be speaking to you, wishing you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Durko, I look at that smile on your face and it just melts me. What is it about cars for you that is such a passion?
No, it's just the cars. I was born with cars, so yeah, I'm just growing up with them, so they're my life, and I really appreciate the build quality and how they were made. And yeah, my dad and I built my first car, 1978.
Yeah.
This is a Toyota Corolla K50, 1980 model. And I built it when I was 10 years old in lockdown, when I had nothing to do. So yeah, I painted it self, do the bodywork, build the engine self, everything on my own.
Nico Ferree, hats off to you. My admiration to you and the family is immense. If you want to slow down, it's no problem, eh? Okay, now you go like that. You go right. If there's one brand that knows how to keep naming culture, it is Toyota. Toyota Hilux in the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, Toyota Corolla, 70s, 80s and 90s. Next to me is a Toyota Cressida. This is a generation one that started in the 1970s, and this is a particularly special example. Why? It is Nico Ferree's absolute pride and joy. Looking at the color, looking at the condition, and looking at what's under the bonnet, Vicky Varum, it's not hard to see why. But where did the Toyota Cressida journey end? It ended in the early 1990s with a 3-litre ECT. When we saw Nelson Mandela being released from prison, what vehicle did he drive? A Toyota Cressida, and I believe, I may be wrong, was sold for over R1 million recently. Got good news for you. You can get them cheaper. We saw where the Cressida story started, and this is where it ended. The top of the range, 3-litre, 6-cylinder, 24-valve automatic, but a brand with a following as loyal as Toyota. You stop the Cressida, you go to something which is arguably better, and that is a Toyota Camry. If the Cressida was the end of the line, this was the start of the new line. 1992, the Toyota Camry came to South Africa, 3 models available, the 200 SI, 220 SI, and then the big boy, the 300 SI. Next to me, we have got what I believe is possibly the finest example of a Toyota Camry in South Africa, if not the whole of the world. Yes, Toyota, that includes you at the Toyota Museum. Next to me is what I've said is the finest example of this vehicle in the world. Look at it on screen right now. Tell me if you can guess what the kilometers are. To help you, I'm going to ask you to Google how many kilometers a year the average human being walks. Bearing in mind, this is a 1995 model, so we talk about 29 years. I've got bad news for you. You are going to be so wrong, it's not even funny. So there's 2 terms we've all heard in the motor trade. Giving a car a haircut means clipping its mileage. Naughty boys do that. And then we've all heard the term demo. Behind us, this is a car that's got less than demo mileage. 1,600 kilometers. I speak clearly, you're hearing that correctly. 1995 model, 1,600 kilometers. The car wasn't involved in an accident. The car was nothing wrong with it mechanically. It was just a museum piece, and it found its perfect place in the ultimate Toyota Museum. What determines a brand's success? Well, let's put it this way. Long term, I say without a shadow of doubt, it is always deserved. Look at some of the buckies on the market right now. Do they deserve success? Absolutely, without a shadow of doubt. Do they have the pedigree of a Toyota Hilux? Absolutely not. If you want to have some fun, go onto YouTube and see Whistling Diesel.
Welcome, friends, to the first episode of Hilux Testing.
It's a gentleman who makes Top Gear look like amateurs. He tries his hardest to destroy vehicles. What is the one vehicle he can't destroy? Has he come close? Possibly. I said destroy. It is the Toyota Hilux. the end of a day that will be indelibly etched in my memory for so many reasons. Let's start with the thank yous. To Nico, Tanya, Durko and Yaku, the way you made us feel, I have no words. Myself, my crew, you are a standout family and you have a standout museum. What we saw here today, over 90 of the finest examples of the finest brand, bringing back nostalgia on a level that I cannot explain. Nico and family, may you go from strength to strength.
Coming up after the break, Mike sits down with Motorsport trailblazer and touring car driver Farouk Dangor. Are you looking to sell? Visit Change Cars and click on the Selling tab.
Hi guys, so we're here with Jim from XS Drift. Jim, what is it that you guys do here?
We do a whole bunch of things, mainly making a lot of smoke and going sideways. But you know what? That's nothing like actually showing you. Come on in.
Woo! So standard K53 driving.
K53. You'll see my hands are nowhere near where they should be. Oh, there goes my tires. That was my tire that was gone.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we beat Google Maps. I'll give that Uber a 4 out of 5.
I'm a businessman, a petrolhead, and a lifelong motorsport fan. Today I have the absolute privilege of interviewing an individual who doesn't match one of those characteristics. Why do I say doesn't match? He smashes each and every one of them into touch. A businessman extraordinaire, a true petrolhead, and not just a motorsport fan, a racing driver. Farouk, absolute privilege and pleasure to be here. Tell us about a career that doesn't go back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years, but substantially longer.
Mike, nice to have you guys with me.
Appreciate that.
Started in 1974 selling mag wheels in this very premises.
Amazing.
Eventually I was doing up a car or two for myself, and people used to come and say, we want to buy that car, not the normal car.
Amazing.
But and I saw the gap in the market that people wanted something special, and in 1980 November, I started Speedy car sales.
If we think of well-known motor racing drivers at the time, Sarel van der Merwe, Billy Hepburn, Ben Morgenroot, etc., I do not imagine that their story is remotely similar to yours. Where does the interest in motorsport come from?
Well, Mike, I used to sponsor some of these guys that were doing hot rod, oval track racing. It was called the Boxlachter Sport.
Yeah.
So the guy used to build his car in his backyard and come and race it on an oval track. And I used to sponsor some of these guys with our second-hand tires because they used to use road tires to race. And then I was invited for a few times to go and watch them race. When I saw that, I said, it looks so easy, I'm sure I can do it. And I asked the one person I was sponsoring, I said, do you want me to try your car for a few laps? And I was immediately quicker than him. That was a racer for a year or two already.
Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, you have a similar story. The time you got into a car for the first time, whoever drove it before you, you were quicker than them. Carry on.
Exactly. And then I befriended Tony Viana thereafter.
The absolute legend that is Tony Viana.
Absolutely. He was a mentor for me to get onto the big track. And he told me on one day he used to test the cars at Goldfields Raceway at the time, which is now Pakiza. I had a branch in Oordendaal also. Whenever I went there and I phoned Tony, he said, I'm at the track, come spend some time here. And then I used to go and watch him tune the BMs and test. And then one day he said, why do you waste your time with oval tracks? Come join us. He took me for 3 laps in a car, then he put me behind the wheel and he said, come, you can do it. And then I felt immediately I was comfortable with that. And that weekend, Graham Duxbury was a works driver. Tony used to prepare all the works BMWs for them. And he wasn't available, so he invited me and he said, come and drive Graham Duxbury's car.
But now, what is so special for me, here's a gentleman that has raced overseas. You've raced at some of the most iconic racetracks in the world. Nürburgring, correct?
Yes, correct.
And I ask you the best race, and you say Zwartkops. Zwartkops does not get mentioned along with Monza, Monaco, Nürburgring, A1 Ring, but yet you chose South Africa. You're a South African through and through. You've made your success in this country. Tell us about Speedy Car Sales.
Speedy Car Sales is a business with passion. It's not about buying and selling of cars, but it's a passion that I have for cars and my knowledge of cars, and I share the knowledge with my clients. Because lots of people come and they want to buy a car because a neighbor's got a car like that. And they don't get the right advice from, if they go to a franchise dealer, for example, they might have Toyotas only and they can only sell them a Toyota.
And I've always said that if you want an honest, unbiased opinion, and I absolutely respect every brand, but don't ask a Honda dealer what's the best car to buy, because he's going to tell you a Honda. However, we all do have our favorites, and it's quite clear that your favorite is not Audi, your favorite is not Mercedes, your favorite is? BMW. Through and through. Behind us, Farouk, the most incredible collection of BMWs. We all know the 325i, the 325IS, and the M3. Where can you find that all under one roof? The most incredible 1991 BMW 325i Cabriolet, a beautiful 325IS, some people call it the Shadow Line, and then the one vehicle that never came to South Africa. You've got to share that with us.
Well, the BMW M3 E30 touring car, these cars were built in left-hand drive only for the German market originally.
4-cylinder?
4-cylinder, 2-litre, 16-valve, normally aspirated, and made about 130 kilowatts on the wheels.
Now, Farouk, the question I have to ask you, 45 plus years in the industry, you still look like a youngster, you've got the energy of a youngster, what next?
You know, thank God for the good health that He's given me, and you know, we just want to continue doing what we do, serving the communities with good products, good cars, giving good advice, and sharing it with my community and our social welfare that we're involved in, our towns and everything. So yeah, that's what we are there for.
The perfect way to end an interview like this is with the recognition that the individual truly deserves. December 2023, just on 43 years after you started your motor racing career, something incredible happened. You got the absolute true recognition that you deserved, not from anybody. You've always had the recognition from me. You got it from Motorsport South Africa. Please share that story with us.
Well, I think, Mike, that is a very, very special award, although it came many, many years later, but at least it is recognized. So that award was for the transformation of motorsport. In the times when we were not allowed to race, and we went and we persevered and we carried on. And it opened the doors today that there's a lot of non-European, colored, black, Indian drivers that are competing, especially if you go to Killarney and that tracks, you'll see lots of in Durban and all these places. There's massive fans that are car enthusiasts that feel that because if Farouk could do it, we can also do it sometime. And that opened the doors for the future for our kids.
If ever you want to know about a career that has been successful, an individual that has been outstanding, Farouk Dangoor, you represent everything that is good about business and life. My respect is immense.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Mike heads to visit one of the largest Nissan and Datsun private museums in the world, located in Bothaville. Did you know? Touring car racing is a motorsport racing competition that uses race-prepared touring cars. It has both similarities to and significant differences from stock car racing, which is popular in the United States. While the cars do not move as fast as those in Formula or sports car racing, their similarity to both one another and fans' own vehicles make for well-supported racing. The lesser use of aerodynamics means following cars have a much easier time passing than in open-wheel racing, and the more substantial bodies of the car makes the subtle bumping and nudging for overtaking much more acceptable as part of racing. Following the rebrand from the British Saloon Car Championship in 1987 to the British Touring Car Championship, the series was enjoying a huge success and saw large audiences and TV coverage at each round up and down the UK. However, despite the success, a problem was taking shape, mainly in the form of championship cost, which was an increasing issue for the teams wanting to enter. The South African Touring Car Championship, just like its overseas counterparts, had a rich history and heyday where names such as Joubert, Van der Linde, Dangor and Briggs featured prominently. Interestingly, our Mike Bashut has something in common with another South African racing legend, Mike Briggs. He too was such a big PK fan that he sported a very similar colour scheme on his racing helmet, just like Nelson Piquet. Looking for finance and insurance? Visit CHANGECARS and click on the Financial Products tab.
We're in Bothaville, a small farming town in the Free State, at the Datsun Nissan Heritage Museum. Is it my first time in Bothaville? Absolutely. After what I've seen today, I promise you it will be far from my last. Many motoring brands are constantly changing direction. In my opinion, one brand has not only changed direction, it's lost direction. You're going to see some incredible vehicles from the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, and then I ask you, do you agree or do you disagree with me? Let's focus on the 70s, the 80s and the early 90s, a time that I believe was the best in the history of Nissan in our country. Names like Chev, Ford, Volkswagen and Toyota, absolute standout brands. Could Nissan go head-to-head with them? You tell me. Let's start at the beginning. You're a student, male or female, you need a small two-door affordable car. Wow, Datsun have the 120Y, the 140Y and the 160Y for you. Now, we've moved on to the 80s. I love the look of the Nissan Exa, the Nissan Sentra two-door. But wait, now I'm a family man. I need a four-door. Oh, that's right. I'm in the 70s. We've got the Datsun 1200, the Datsun Stanza. Moving on to the 80s, the Nissan Pulsar, Nissan Langley, Nissan Sentra, Nissan Almera, Nissan Primera, and guess what? Then it stops. When one thinks of sports cars, you think of BMW, you think of Mercedes, you think of Audi, you think of Porsche, Ferrari, etc. But who would think of Nissan? You are going to now. Datsun 240Z, Datsun 260Z, the Datsun 280ZX, 300ZX, the Nissan 200SX, the 350, 370Z. What incredible cars. And then the ultimate Nissan GTR. Where have you gone wrong, Nissan? Nissan, this is an incredible safari fire truck. However, you don't need it because your sales figures are definitely not on fire. However, you have an incredible brand that is synonymous with quality. All you need to do is bring into South Africa the incredible product range that you have in Japan. South Africans love the brand. I respect the brand. What more can you ask for? The 300ZX is no doubt unfinished business. But talking about my favorite Nissan of all time, without a shadow of doubt, it's the 350Z and the incredible 370Z that followed. What makes this car so special? It's affordable, people can use it as an everyday car, it's available in hardtop or convertible, and then the ultimate. You want to take it onto a track? This car was designed for the track. Nissan, you got an engine here that won the Engine of the Year, I don't even know how many times, but you know how good it was, and this is how good Nissan can be. It would be absolute sacrilege to visit this fine museum showcasing the most incredible Nissan products and not focus on what I believe is a standout vehicle of the 1980s in the Nissan range, the Nissan Skyline 2.8 GTX. Two things. The GTX was a two-door, good-looking coupe, and the 2.8 engine in here. Absolutely, truly magnificent. Silky smooth, and talking about silky smooth, it's not just BMW that makes straight sixes. What can I say about the incredible Datsun Nissan Heritage Museum in Boerteville? Let me start with the owner, Freek de Kock. The way you've made my team and myself feel today is just absolutely humbly appreciated. The cars on display, wow, what can you say there other than jaw-droppingly beautiful? I've seen names that I always knew existed, but I won't lie that I'd forgotten. Hopefully you as a viewer have seen today what incredible history this incredible mark has in South Africa. To Nissan South Africa, you have an incredible past, a troubled present, and I believe a difficult future if you don't do what worked for you in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Here is the screen top tip of the week. Keep it clean. A clean car isn't just nice to look at. It can prevent rust and corrosion, especially in salty or humid areas. Before you buy a second-hand car, screen it. It's what smart people do. Coming up next week on All Things Motoring International, Mike and Ernest attend Cars in the Park at Swartkops Raceway. And just like always, it doesn't disappoint. This is a show that features the present and the past.
There are some badges that are classic, there are some badges that are still current, and there are some badges that are future classics. One such badge. Yeah.
Hang on, Michael, why do you keep on getting this wrong? Something to do with what's happening back here. And action.
Normal, abnormal. Normal, abnormal.
And Jim, you check your blind spots regularly, of course.
What's a blind spot?
I don't.
Toyota Racing Developments. What does it stand for?
Oh, that's out of our way.
Ah! We beat, ladies and gents, we beat Google Maps. I'll give that Uber a 4 out of 5.
Now, but who's the winner? Who came first?
No, you go like that. You go right.
Love it.
Do you need any motoring advice? From where or what to buy and where to sell? Visit the All Things Motoring International website and click the Advice tab to ask Mikey. All Things Motoring International was brought to you by SA's most trusted online vehicle platform, CHANGECARS. Our name says it all. There is no safer online vehicle platform. That's not an opinion, that's a fact.